Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos, everyone. Parshat Mishpatim is the Parsha of laws. The laws. Mishpatim, in fact, means laws that we can understand. And in fact, the Rambam describes, as is the vast majority of the laws of the Torah, are Mishpatim. Laws which have logical reasons, rational explanations behind them. And in fact, in Hilchot Me'ilah, the last halacha, the Rambam explains that a Jew should study Torah, because you will understand the logical and rational explanations of the mitzvot, because most of the Torah is mishpatim. There are chukim, some that are beyond reason, but most of them are mishpatim, and you can understand them if you study. That's what mishpatim means. Now, there's a very interesting law, and the reason is given in this week's parsha, and I'll read it to you. It's about the converts. It says here, "V'ger lo tilchatz," do not, and the convert, do not pressure him, do not oppress him. V'yatem, for you guys, yedatem, you know, et ne'efesh hager, you know the soul of the convert. Ki geirim hayitem be'eretz Mitzrayim, for converts you were in the land of Egypt. Okay, so the reason is given. It's quite clearly in the basic pshat, simple explanation, is the reason that's given in the verse. Don't oppress the converts, because you know what it's like. You were in Egypt. You were converts. You know what it's like. But the language, I think, here has even a deeper explanation. There's extra words here. Just say, Ki geirim hayitem be'eretz Mitzrayim, you were converts, you were strangers in the land of Egypt. But here it says, Ve'atem yedatem et nefesh hager, for you know the soul of the convert. What is the soul of the convert? So growing up, I have to be honest, me having been a convert from 7 years old, my mother having been a convert, the same day when I converted when I was 7 years old. It's called Giur Katan, a convert of a minor below the age of bar mitzvah. My mother converted that same day. I have to say, growing up, I experienced no badness, really. I experienced love anywhere I get. Anywhere I went, I experienced love in the Jewish world, in the Orthodox Jewish world, modern Orthodox Jewish world, and beyond. In the Orthodox Jewish world, I experienced love. People praised me and lauded me for being a convert, praised my mother for being a convert. In fact, that's all I knew, really, growing up. But as I got older and older, being a convert, halachically, and my mother being a convert, I started to understand a little bit more the struggles of being a convert. The first time was when I went to Yeshiva University. It was after 2 years of studying Talmud in Israel, in the Gush, in Yeshivat Har Etzion. I was in Yeshiva University, and it was on a Shabbos. We were playing chess with another fellow YU boy, and he asked me, and really it came from a place of ignorance. He didn't know. But he asked me, how is it possible that your mom converted? She doesn't cover her hair. Now, in the moment, it didn't really trigger me or rub me the wrong way, but over the years, and maybe a week after that, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and it was weighing upon me. Really, his question comes from a place of ignorance. He doesn't realize that it's possible, nay, not even possible, but praiseworthy even, one could argue, that a Gentile can convert to become a Jew without knowing every single law. It's an amazing concept. Without knowing the details of every single law. This goes all the way back in the Talmud, this principle. And then later on, there were other struggles I realized, and even the Rashi in this week's portion even talks about some of the struggles, is because the convert has a past life. And the past life has influence upon the convert. And it's hard on the soul. It's difficult, it's challenging, it's precious too, but difficult nevertheless. And that's what the pasuk perhaps is saying. So what does it mean, the soul of the convert? It's nefesh hager v'atem, and you guys know, nefesh hager, the soul of the convert. So what is the Torah saying to the Jewish people? You guys know the soul of the convert. So I have to tell you that when I spent time in Haifa, training fencing there, teaching fencing, and I was studying in the Beit Midrash for medical halacha, for medical ethics, Torah medical ethics, medical halacha. Rav Asher Weiss once spoke. Rav Asher Weiss is one of the great poskim of Israel, one of the great halacha decisors in the land of Israel right now, of the 21st century, really. The story of Rav Asher Weiss is very interesting. His father was the shamish, the first-hand man, the right-hand man of the Kloisenberger Rebbe, who was a Holocaust survivor. And the father of Rav Asher Weiss was the right-hand man of the Kloisenberger Rebbe, and went to the Kloisenberger Rebbe and said, Rebbe, I can't serve you anymore. I want to go study Torah. I want to become a gadol. I want to study Torah. And the Kloisenberger Rebbe begged him. He said, please, stay with me. I need you. You're my right-hand man. And I promise, if you serve me, well, if you choose to be with me and to serve me as my shamish, as my right-hand man, it will take up a lot of your time, I know. But I give you a bracha in Avtacha that your son will become the Gadol Hador. And that son, when he was born, was taken as a Talmud of the Kloisenberger Rebbe and his father, who was a big genius himself. And Rav Asher Weiss became Gadol Hador, as he is now. He really connects all the Orthodox worlds, from modern to religious Zionists to Haredi worlds. He encompasses all of them. And he's an expert. He's a Talmudic and Poisek, and he knows medicine very well. And this is Rav Asher Weiss. So Rav Asher Weiss told a story on Shavuos, right before Shavuos, in the Beis Medrash. He came and explained about that he was reading the diary of the Piasetzner Rebbe, who also was a Holocaust survivor. And the Piasetzner Rebbe writes in his diary, I love Hashem so much. I love him. I want to do more. Can I daven more? I already daven so much. Can I study more Torah? I already study so much Torah. Can I do more chesed? He says, I'm doing chesed all the time. What else can I do? The Piasetzner Rebbe says, this is what Rav Asher Weiss explained. He says, I want to convert. I'm jealous of the convert. But alas, I can't convert because I was born a Jew. And here we see the Piasetzner Rebbe envying the convert because the convert got to choose. A while ago, I was approached by someone who said, after one of my sermons in the shul, came up to me and he said, my wife also was a Jew by choice. It's an interesting phrase, a Jew by choice, because while I understand what it means is his wife was a convert, I have to tell you, every Jew is technically a Jew by choice. Because we go back to last week's Parshat when we stood at Mount Sinai, and yes, there were times before then where we accepted the commandments out of love. For example, we started keeping Shabbat before Mount Sinai. That was at Mara, at the Bitter Waters. We started keeping Kibbud Av V'Eim and other mitzvot before. And even the Avot had many of the mitzvot, if all of them, if some of them, they had Shechita. And that was Be'ahava, out of love. But at Mount Sinai, Hashem coerced us, and the Medrash says, Kaf Aleim Har Kegigis. And he overturned the mountain and said, accept my commandments, otherwise I will drop the mountain upon you, and boom, Gamarnu, you guys will be done. And so we became Avadim. We used to be slaves to Paro, and we became slaves, Avadim, regal, noble slaves, servants of Hashem, emissaries. So when did we accept the Torah out of love? And the commentators explain, if you go all the way many years later, to after the destruction of the first temple, when we were in Persia, and Megillat Purim is coming up, and we were in Persia, and Haman wanted to kill us, and then we survived. At the end of the Megillah, it says, Kimu v'kiblu. They reaccepted the Torah. And there's another explanation there. There were some people among the Persian Jews who are not halachically Jewish that converted. That's one of the explanations for why there's two yuds. The word Jews is spelled differently in the Megillah. Sometimes with Yehudim, with one yud at the end, and sometimes Yehudiyim, sometimes with two yuds at the end. And the difference between Yehudiyim and Yehudim is Yehudim means Jews, and Yehudiyim means Jewish persons. Jewish persons encompasses, that term encompasses those who are Zera Yisrael but not halachically Jewish, who are offspring of Jews but are not halachically Jewish. And so they were trying to fight for their identity, for their spiritual reality. And Kiyumu v'kiblu, at the end of the Purim story, people converted. And the whole Jewish people reaccepted the Torah. So the truth is, V'atem yedatem et nefesh hager, when it says, and you guys know the soul of the convert, what that means is all Jews in essence are converts and can be converts every day. Purim is a time for us to rededicate ourselves to Hashem. And not just Purim, but every day we can re-accept upon ourselves the mitzvot by studying one bit of Torah, one letter. One letter. We begin the process of accepting. The truth is, to be a Jew is not an easy thing. Nisht Parshat. It's not simple and it's not easy. It requires study. But remember, two things. One, lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. It is not upon you to finish, but it is upon you whether you try or you don't. And two, the first step, the step of accepting Hashem and having your own little Mount Sinai every day, your own little conversion every day, that takes 1 second of inspiration. And the rest, as they say, shall be history. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Remember, in this week's Parsha, there are many laws that we should study. We should understand the reasons. And also remember, you know the Nefesh Hager. Ve'atem yedatem et Nefesh Hager. You know the soul of the convert. And as a Jew, we are all converts to Hashem. Have a wonderful Shabbat. I'll see you guys all on the other side.